Hi guys, this is Noiser with another episode of Equipped, the series where I share my preferred loadouts and playstyles for different operators. Hopefully you can find something that you can use to improve your game in Rainbow Six Siege. Today we are going to take a closer look at MIRA, the defender from the Spanish GEO that was added in the Velvet Shell DLC. MIRA feels like yet another bring the siege back into siege operator, as she is a heavy defender with a pretty objective focused gadget, but we'll start off by taking a closer look at her loadout. MIRA is a low-speed, high-armor operator with two black mirrors as her special ability. These are bulletproof windows that you only can see through from one side, which we will get back to. She can choose between two primary weapons, the Vector SMG and the ITA-12L shotgun. I always go with the Vector, and I think 99% of all MIRA players do the same. This gives you some range for peeking that you will need to make good use of your black mirrors. But it's also just a beast of a gun in general, so there's really few reasons to go with the shotgun in my opinion. The Vector has an insane fire rate and is quite easy to control considering that, and when it comes to attachments, flash hider or perhaps muzzle brake and of course the vertical grip is a good setup I think, as you need to burst or tap fire this one, especially on console. For the secondary I go with the ITA-12S, which is a short version of the primary shotgun. This I mainly use as a breaching tool, opening hatches and of course making kill holes, as that's a great way of making use of the black mirrors, as you will see, if you're not already familiar with that. This shotgun is lethal at close range as well, so it's a great last resort, as you will run out of bullets in your Vector magazine all the time. Reflex sight and a laser sight, as you hip fire a lot with shotguns, is what I use for all shotguns, and this is no exception for that. C4 is always my first choice when available, except for when playing Bandit, as he's got these 3 barbed wires, which is quite unique. So I go with C4 with MIRA, mainly to deal with attackers pushing in, or sometimes to quickly open up holes between bomb objectives. If you're new to Rainbow Six Siege, always open up a rotation hole in the walls between the bombs when playing that game mode. Never reinforce all of them, as that is probably something that will irritate more experienced players quite a bit. You need to be able to move between objectives and have a good view and line of fire between them as well. When MIRA first arrived, most people used to open up her windows to fire through them, and although you still see this behavior, it's seldom a wise choice, with some important exceptions of course. I did so as well at first, but quickly realized you often just make it easier for the attackers to shoot you. One exception is of course when you put two mirrors next to each other and you use one to see through and the other one to quickly peek and fire through. In these cases it's often better to open one up right away though, and make sure your teammates know about it, as they can easily get shot in the back while holding another angle if they don't realize you suddenly opened a window. When playing MIRA, you have to remember that these windows are a double-edged sword. The attackers can easily use them against you if placed in a bad position or if they manage to open it. Looking out for Twitch's shock drone should be your main priority to protect your windows, and waiting to deploy them until the very end of the preparation phase can be a wise choice. I often use the black mirrors in a similar way as the Pro League players use them, by placing them on a reinforced wall and opening up kill holes in the walls next to it to be able to quickly peek and down attackers on the other side. You can of course just leave the wall as it is to be able to wallbang them instead, but personally I usually find it better to have a clear line of sight so I can line up a kill shot instead of just shooting blindly through the wall. But that's very situational and depending on the range to the anticipated target and what kind of view you have through the window. Opening up kill holes with your shotgun also enables you to toss out a C4 without having to open a hole first, which can be quite handy and sometimes unexpected for the attackers. This way of placing the windows is quite common with Smoke as well, as he can toss out smoke grenades and deny a plant or an entry for quite some time from a position like that. But let's return to the concept of opening windows. The thing is, I've baited so many mirrors into opening up mirrors to be able to kill me, because it's so easy to actually hear the window break, and you will have almost a second to react to that before someone can fire back at you through that hole. Moving up to the wall with thermite and start placing an exothermic charge is one way, and if you even have a teammate watching the window ready to pre-fire it, that MIRA or whatever defender will most likely die, even with your back towards the window, as long as there's no hole or wall they can shoot you through, of course. Then you will have the time to turn around and kill them when you hear the window break. As a defender, I've been killed countless of times due to teammates opening up windows at the wrong time as well. Of course, you can still hear them opening, but you might be in a position that's hard to get out of, without exposing yourself to other lines of fire perhaps. So if you're playing MIRA and are a bit unexperienced, don't open up windows without making sure of which teammate behind you might get into trouble. That is the kind of thing that can make you lose rounds, and in ranked at least, that can be pretty annoying. There are exceptions, of course. For example, when Hibana decides to drone outside my window. I mean, you just can't let this one go now, can you? When it comes to the double-edged sword I was referring to, this has everything to do with placement as well. For example, imagine placing a black mirror looking into the objective from a room outside the objective area. This can of course be a viable tactic, but if you lose control of that window, the attackers can obviously use it to peek your teammates inside the objective room. You often can't totally stop attackers from making use of your windows at some point of the game, but if they get a perfect window towards the objective to use within like the first minute or so, well, that's certainly not a good start anyway. For this reason, I try to have an ID with the black mirrors I use. How I place them, who's going to be by them, if I'm going to stay there myself or if someone else is going to guard it, and make use of them instead of just placing them out where I happen to be or to have just some sort of possible sightline somewhere. Now, this might sound obvious, but as with Castle, for example, you can really mess it up for your teammates if you use your gadgets the wrong way or at the wrong place, making them a benefit for your enemies instead of really useful for you. So, to sum this up, when playing MIRA, I go with the Vector and the Shotgun as secondary, and finally the C4. I usually use one mirror window on a reinforced wall and open up kill holes in surrounding walls to be able to peek as many angles as possible from a fairly safe place behind the reinforced wall, but with full control of what's going on the other side of the window. Putting a bandit battery or mute jammer on the wall is quite important to stop Hibana from opening it from a distance. If you're unexperienced, never open up windows mid-game, as that often just will get you or your teammates killed, and watch out for shock drones, as they are your window's worst enemy that can easily change your upper hand to a huge problem for you and your team. If your windows get opened up, you have to be prepared for grenades, fireballs or bullets raining in on you from the other side, and as we all know, that can be a bit unpleasant. So that's about it for today, guys. What are your thoughts on MIRA and how I like to play her? Do you have any tips or tricks of your own you would like to share? Or did I miss anything in this guide that you would like to add? Share your thoughts by leaving a comment below and give me a thumbs up or down so I get to know what you think about this video. If you're not already a subscriber, hit that subscribe button and the bell icon next to it to get notified when I post. I'll be back soon again with some new Rainbow Six Siege content, and until then, I will keep being Noiser. Hej då!